The morning light filtered through the lace curtains of my Minneapolis kitchen, catching the steam rising from my coffee cup. I was reviewing my grocery list when my phone buzzed. Kevin's name lit up the screen, and my heart did that little leap it always did when my son called. "Mom, hey." His voice had that tight quality I'd learned to recognize over the past year. The one that meant Sienna was nearby. "Sweetheart, what a nice surprise. I was just thinking about you." "Yeah, so, I have some news." He cleared his throat. "Sienna and I got married. We eloped to Cabo last weekend." The grocery list slipped from my fingers. Married. My only child, married, and I hadn't known he was even planning it. "Kevin, Married? You didn't mention you were even." "It was spontaneous, Mom." "Very yes. Intimate ceremony, just the two of us and a few of her followers who flew down. She live-streamed it actually. Got over 200,000 views. Followers. Views. Not family. Not his mother who'd raised him alone after his father died on that construction site 15 years ago." "I see." My voice came out smaller than I intended. "Well, congratulations. I wish I could have been there. The thing is, Mom, we're working on this amazing content series for Sienna's brand. Rustic winter romance, back to nature, that whole vibe. We need the cabin." "The cabin?" "Of course. The lakefront property 2 hours north that had been in our family for 30 years. Where Kevin had learned to fish with his grandfather. Where we'd scattered his father's ashes from the dock. You want to visit the cabin? Kevin, you know you're always welcome. I could come up, open it up for you both. Make sure the heat's—" "No, Mom, you're not getting it. We need exclusive access. For 3 months, Sienna's shooting daily content, and the aesthetic needs to be controlled. We can't it just works better if it's just us." The words hit like a slap. Controlled aesthetic. Just us. Translation: I would ruin the picture. 3 months is a long time. Honey, that cabin needs maintenance, especially in winter. The pipes, the furnace. We'll handle it. Sienna's actually really handy. She did a whole renovation series at her last place. He paused. "Can you overnight the keys? And maybe stay somewhere else till spring? We're starting Friday. Stay somewhere else." From the cabin that held every memory of my marriage, of Kevin's childhood, of the life we'd built after his father died. "Kevin, we should talk about this in person. Why don't you both come for dinner this week? I'd love to finally meet Sienna properly. I'd only seen her twice. Once, briefly, when Kevin brought her to my birthday dinner 7 months ago. She'd spent the entire evening on her phone, photographing her food, leaving early because she had content to edit. The second time was even shorter, a coffee meetup where she'd critiqued my aesthetic and suggested I'd look younger if I dressed more intentionally. "Mom, we don't have time for dinner. This is her career. You understand, right? You're retired. You have time. We're building something here." Building something. When had I become the outsider in my son's life? "I'll think about it," I said quietly. "Think fast. We need those keys by Thursday." His voice softened slightly. "Look, I know this seems sudden, but Sienna, she sees things clearly, you know? She's helping me see what matters. What's holding me back? What's holding me back?" The words my son didn't say hung in the air between us. "You're holding me back, Mom. I'll call you tomorrow," I managed. After we hung up, I sat at that kitchen table for a long time, staring at my phone, at the photos on the wall. Kevin at 5, gap-toothed and proud with his first caught fish. Kevin at 16, taller than me already, arms around my shoulders at his father's memorial. Kevin at 28, the last time he'd seemed like my son instead of a stranger performing his life for someone else's camera. I opened Instagram, found Sienna's profile. 243,000 followers. Her feed was a carefully curated grid of earth tones and soft lighting. Sienna in a field of wildflowers. Sienna making pour-over coffee. Sienna doing yoga at sunrise. And there, The newest posts: Sienna in a white dress on a beach. Just married my forever. The caption read, "Intimate celebration with only the souls who truly see us." The comments gushed. Gorgeous. Goals. So authentic. I scrolled back through her feed. Months and months of content. Then I noticed something. About 18 months ago, different backdrop. A different home. A different style. And in 3 photos, partially cropped out, another man's hand. Another relationship that had apparently ended. My phone rang again. My best friend Linda. "Maggie, you sound terrible. What happened?" I told her. All of it. When I finished, Linda was quiet for a moment. "You're not actually going to give her that cabin for 3 months. It's not about the cabin. It's about Kevin. He didn't even tell me he was getting married, Linda. He called me like I'm some landlord he needs a favor from. Because she's isolating him. Maggie. I've seen this before. My sister's boy, remember? That woman had him convinced his whole family was toxic. Took 2 years before he saw through it. But what can I do? If I push back, I'm the controlling mother she's probably already convinced him I am. So don't push back. But don't roll over either. You're not just a mother, Maggie. You're an accountant. What would you do if a client came to you with a situation that didn't add up? After Linda hung up, I sat with that question. What didn't add up? Kevin, my rational, cautious son who'd researched car purchases for 6 months, suddenly eloping after less than a year with a woman I barely knew. My son who'd called me twice a week his entire adult life, now going weeks without contact. My son who'd always been proud of our family history, now asking me to vacate our family's sacred space for content creation. I opened my laptop, started searching. Sienna Hartley, lifestyle influencer. Her website showcased her journey to intentional living. Partnerships with brands, a course she sold on becoming your highest self. Everything polished, professional, aspirational. I dug deeper, found her old Facebook profile from college. Different last name, Sienna Martinez. Scrolled through years of photos. There, 3 years ago, photos with a different man. Ryan something, lots of couple shots. Then they stopped. I searched Sienna Martinez, Ryan, and found him. Ryan Kowalski. His Facebook relationship status. Single. No photos of Sienna anymore. I sent him a message. It was forward, probably inappropriate, but something in my gut pushed me. Hi Ryan. I know this is unusual. I'm the mother of someone your ex Sienna is now married to. Would you be willing to talk? I didn't expect a response. But 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Margaret? A young man's voice, cautious. Yes, thank you for calling. I know this must seem strange. No, Look, I don't know your situation. But if your son is with Sienna, he's in trouble. Ryan's voice hardened. She's not who she seems. At all. For the next hour, Ryan told me everything. How they'd met, how quickly she'd moved in, how she'd slowly separated him from his friends, his family. You're too good for them, she'd say. They don't understand your potential like I do. She was obsessed with my family's beach house in Florida, Ryan said. Kept pushing me to ask my parents to sign it over. Said we could turn it into a retreat center. Make money. When I finally realized what she was doing and broke it off, she'd already convinced me to add her name to my car title, my bank accounts. It took a lawyer to untangle everything. Did she have a pattern? I mean, before you? Ryan hesitated. There was another guy. Damien. I found out after we broke up. Similar situation. He had family property in Vermont. She dated him for 8 months, then it ended. I tried to contact him to compare notes, but he wouldn't talk about it. Just said to stay away from her, and hung up. After Ryan hung up, I sat in the growing darkness of my kitchen. 3 relationships, 3 men with family properties. A pattern. I spent the next 2 days digging. Property records, court filings. I found Damien's lawsuit in Vermont public records. He'd sued Sienna for fraud after she'd forged documents trying to claim partial ownership of his family's ski lodge. The case had been settled, sealed, but the docket was public. The claims were there in legal language: fraud, forgery, manipulation. I called Kevin Wednesday morning. "Mom, did you mail the keys?" "Kevin, I need you to come home this weekend. Both of you. Please. There's something we need to discuss." "We can't." Sienna's scheduled content shoots. "Mom, just send the keys." "Why are you making this difficult?" "Because I love you. And I need to show you something. Please, sweetheart. One dinner. Here at home. Sunday night." Silence. Then Sienna's voice in the background: "Tell her we're busy." Sienna says. I heard what Sienna said. "I'm asking you, my son. Please." More silence. Finally, "Fine. Sunday. 6 o'clock. But we can't stay long." I spent the next 3 days preparing. Not just dinner, but evidence. I printed everything. Ryan's story, which he'd agreed to share in a signed statement. The Vermont court documents. Property records showing the pattern. Screenshots of her old social media accounts under different names. A timeline I'd built in Excel, because that's what accountants do. We build cases from data. I also called a lawyer. Just to understand my options, I told myself. But really, to understand Kevin's situation. The lawyer was blunt. If they're married and he gives her access to family property, she could claim interest. Especially if she contributes to maintenance, renovation. Document everything. Sunday came. I made Kevin's favorite: pot roast with root vegetables. The same meal I'd made every Sunday when he was growing up. When it was just the two of us figuring out life without his father. They arrived at 6:15. Sienna wore all white, her hair in an artfully messy bun. She was filming as they walked up the driveway. Visiting the mother-in-law, she narrated to her phone, "Wish me luck, fam." Kevin looked tired, thinner than I remembered. Dinner was strained. Sienna photographed every dish, adjusted the lighting, rearranged the table settings. She barely ate. "This is so cute, this whole vintage homemaker vibe you have," she said, gesturing at my kitchen. "Very nostalgic." "Kevin, we should do a throwback series. Show our followers where you came from before you evolved." Before you evolved. As if his life with me was something to outgrow. "I'd love to hear about your family, Sienna," I said carefully. "Kevin's told me so little. Where did you grow up?" "Oh, we're not really doing family history tonight, are we?" She laughed, looking at Kevin. "Your mom's so formal." "Mom just likes to get to know people," Kevin said quietly. "By interrogating them?" Sienna's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Anyway, we should talk about the cabin. We're thinking of doing a whole series. Maybe even write a book about intentional living in nature. This could be huge for us. For Kevin's career too." "Kevin's career?" I thought he was happy with his engineering work. "He's wasting his potential," Sienna said, like Kevin wasn't sitting right there. "He could be so much more. But he needs space from limiting beliefs, old patterns." She looked directly at me. No offense. Kevin stared at his plate. After dinner, I suggested coffee in the living room. Sienna excused herself to the bathroom, phone in hand. "Kevin," I said quickly, "I need to show you something." "Mom, not tonight." "We agreed, just dinner. Please." 5 minutes. I handed him the folder. He opened it reluctantly. Started reading. His face went pale as he flipped through the pages. Ryan's statement. The court documents. The timeline. "Where did you get this?" His voice shook. "I did what I always do when something doesn't add up. I investigated." "You investigated my wife?" "I investigated someone who's isolated you from me, who pressured you to elope without telling your only family, who's demanding our family property." "Kevin, look at the pattern." He stood up, folder in hand. "You had no right. I have every right to protect my son. I'm not a child, Mom. God." This is exactly what Sienna said you'd do. She warned me you couldn't handle not controlling my life anymore. She warned you? Or she prepared you? Kevin, look at the evidence. Evidence? You mean stalking? You contacted her ex-boyfriend? Do you know how crazy that is? Ryan called me back because he wanted to warn. Enough! Kevin's shout startled us both. He never raised his voice. You've never approved of anyone I've dated. You've always found something wrong. Dad's been gone 15 years, and you still act like you're the only person I'm allowed to love. The words hit like a physical blow. That's not fair, isn't it? You've built your whole life around being my mom. What happens when I don't need you anymore? When I have my own family? Sienna appeared in the doorway. Everything okay, baby? Kevin handed her the folder. She flipped through it casually, then laughed. Oh, Margaret, this is sad. Really sad. She looked at Kevin. See what I meant? She can't let go. These are court documents, I said. Legal proceedings. Your fraud case in Vermont. That was a misunderstanding. A vindictive ex who couldn't handle that I left him. Sienna's voice was calm, practiced. I'm happy to explain, but honestly, I don't owe you anything. You're not my mother, and frankly, the way you've inserted yourself into our marriage is disturbing. She took Kevin's hand. We should go. Kevin, please, just read it, all of it. But he was already walking toward the door. He paused, turned back. I'll mail your key back. We don't need the cabin. We don't need anything from you. The door closed. I stood in my living room, surrounded by the evidence that had only pushed my son further away. Linda came over that night, found me crying at the kitchen table. He thinks I'm crazy, that I'm some controlling, jealous mother who can't let go. You did the right thing. Did I? I just lost my son, Linda. You lost him the minute she got her hooks in him. At least now you tried to save him. But trying wasn't enough. Kevin blocked my number. Didn't respond to emails. I sent a letter to his apartment. It came back unopened. 2 weeks passed, the longest I'd gone without talking to my son since his father died. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find a young woman, mid-20s, nervous. Mrs. Chen, I'm Taylor. I'm a friend of Kevin's. From work. She glanced over her shoulder. Can I come in? Inside, she pulled out her phone. Kevin doesn't know I'm here, but I think you need to see something. She showed me text messages. Between Kevin and her, time-stamped over the past weeks. Kevin, is it normal to not have access to your own bank account after you get married? Kevin. She says the cabin thing was you being controlling, but I keep thinking about that Vermont case. Kevin. Taylor, I think I made a mistake. A huge mistake. Kevin, she wants me to sign the house over to both our names. Says it's what married people do. But my dad left me that house. He's scared, Taylor said. She monitors his phone. He deletes these conversations after we have them. But today she found some screenshots he'd taken of the documents you gave him. She lost it. Told him he had to choose. You or her. Cut all ties with you. Or she's leaving. What did he say? He asked for time to think. She said thinking was the problem. That you'd poisoned his mind. Taylor leaned forward. Mrs. Chen, he's figured out something's wrong. But he's in so deep. He married her. He's tied to her legally now. And I think he's ashamed to admit you were right. Where is he now? At the apartment. She went to a content creation workshop for the day. He's alone. I think if you showed up, he might actually talk to you. I was in my car in 5 minutes. Kevin's apartment was in a trendy neighborhood I'd only seen in photos. I knocked, waited. The door opened a crack, then wider. Mom. He looked awful, shadows under his eyes, his father's wedding ring no longer on his finger. How did you? Can I come in? He stepped aside. The apartment was different from what I'd expected. Stark. All of Sienna's aesthetic, none of Kevin's warmth. Our family photos that used to be on his shelf were gone. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. I'm sorry, we both said at the same time. Kevin laughed, but it came out broken. You're sorry? Mom, I said terrible things to you. You were protecting someone you love. I understand that. I don't know if I love her. The admission seemed to cost him everything. I don't know if I ever did, or if she just made me feel like I should. Like loving her was the same as becoming better, and not loving her meant I was less. Kevin, the Vermont case. I looked it up. It's real. All of it. And there's more. He pulled out his laptop. I started digging after that fight. Found another guy. Before Damien. Jacob. He had family land in Montana. She was with him for almost a year. It ended badly. I found his sister on Facebook. She messaged me back. He turned the screen to show me. Said Sienna almost bankrupted their family. That her brother still has PTSD from the relationship. Oh, sweetheart. She wants the house. Mom. The one Dad left me. She's been pushing for weeks. Says if I really trusted her, I'd put it in both our names. That marriage is partnership. But when I suggested she add my name to her car, her accounts, she said that was different, that I was being controlling. He put his head in his hands. How did I not see it? I moved closer, put my arm around him. He leaned into me like he was 12 again. Because she's good at what she does, and because you wanted to believe in her. That's not weakness, Kevin. That's having a good heart. I married her. I actually married her. Marriages can be annulled, especially when there's fraud involved. He looked up. You think? I think you should talk to a lawyer. I have one I've been consulting with, just to understand your options. We talked for 3 hours. I told him everything I'd found. He told me everything he'd been afraid to admit, even to himself. How Sienna had slowly cut him off from his friends. How every conversation became about her needs, her career, her vision. How he'd started to feel like a prop in her carefully curated life. She has a ring light she sets up before we have sex, he said, laughing bitterly. In case she wants to film intimate morning content after. Who does that? Someone who's more in love with an image than a person. His phone buzzed. A text from Sienna. On my way home. Can't wait to see you, husband. Bringing dinner. She'll be here in 20 minutes, Kevin said. Mom, you should go. If she finds you here, I'm not leaving you alone with her. I have to handle this. But not today. I need time. I need to be smart about this. He squeezed my hand. I'll call you tomorrow. I promise. From a phone she doesn't know about. I didn't want to leave. Every instinct screamed to protect him. But he was right. This had to be his decision. Tomorrow, I said firmly. Or, I'm coming back with that lawyer. He smiled, the first real smile I'd seen in months. Deal. I left, drove home, waited by the phone like a teenager waiting for a boy to call. The call came at 7 a.m. the next morning. I told her I want an annulment. My heart stopped. Kevin. What did she say? A lot of things. That I was making the biggest mistake of my life. That I'd regret this. That she'd make sure everyone knew what kind of person I was. He paused. Then she said if I went through with it, she'd sue me. Claim I promised her half of everything. That she has texts, recordings, proof that I agreed to share assets. Does she? I don't know. Maybe. She recorded a lot, always said it was for content, but now... He sounded scared. Mom, what do I do? We call the lawyer. Today. And Kevin, we document everything from this moment forward. The next 2 months were a nightmare. Sienna hired an aggressive attorney, claimed Kevin had coerced her into marriage with promises of property and support for her career. Said she'd given up brand partnerships, opportunities, moved to Minneapolis for him. She wanted half the value of the house, alimony, and compensation for lost earnings. But Kevin had those documents I'd gathered, and we had Ryan and Damien, who both agreed to testify about her pattern. And we had Taylor, who provided texts showing Sienna's manipulation. And we had the Vermont case, the Montana situation. Most importantly, we had proof that Sienna had been married before. Twice, in Nevada and California. Marriages she'd never bothered to officially end before marrying Kevin. That detail came from the lawyer's investigator. Turned out, Sienna's fraud went deeper than romantic relationships. There was an arrest warrant in Arizona for credit card fraud under another name. Our lawyer presented everything to Sienna's attorney. The lawsuit was dropped within a week. The marriage was annulled within 2. Sienna disappeared from Minneapolis. Her Instagram went dark, then reappeared 2 months later with a new aesthetic, a new location, and photos with a new man. Finally found my soulmate, the caption read. Kevin saw it, showed it to me. She's already doing it to someone else. We tried to warn him, I said. We sent everything to the police in that city. It's up to them now. Doesn't feel like enough. It never does. But Kevin, you're free. That's what matters. He'd moved back home temporarily, just until he could find a new place. The house Dad left him had too many memories now. We were looking to sell it, use the money for his fresh start. One Saturday in April, we drove up to the cabin. First time in months, the ice on the lake was breaking up, water dark and alive again. I'm sorry, I almost lost this place, Kevin said, standing on the dock. Dad loved this place. Your dad loved you. This place is just wood and nails. You're what mattered to him. To me. We stood there, watching the water. I kept thinking about what you said, Kevin continued. About how you stayed silent about Dad's business partner, the one who scammed you both. I nodded. I'd told him that story during one of our long talks. How his father's business partner had embezzled money. How we'd lost almost everything. How I'd been too ashamed to tell anyone, even family. You said you didn't want me to make the same mistake. Staying silent, trying to protect myself from embarrassment while the damage got worse. I should have spoken up then, would have saved us years of financial struggle. But you spoke up for me, even when I hated you for it. He turned to look at me. You saved me, Mom. I was so far in, I couldn't see the way out. But you gave me the map, even when I threw it back in your face. We both cried then, not sad tears. Relief, gratitude, the tears that come when something that was broken finally starts to heal. I'm going to talk to that guy, Kevin said. The new one she's with. Send him what we have. Give him a chance to get out before it's too late. He might not listen. Probably not. I wouldn't have. He smiled. But at least he'll know. Someone tried to warn him. That counts for something. We stayed at the cabin that whole weekend. Cleaned it up. Fixed what needed fixing. Made plans for summer. Kevin wanted to bring Taylor up. Maybe teach her to fish. They'd been dating for a few weeks, taking it slow. She knows everything, he said. About Sienna, about how stupid I was. She's patient with me. You weren't stupid. You were trusting. Those are different things. Sunday evening, as we locked up the cabin, Kevin hugged me tight. Thanks for not giving up on me, Mom. Even when I gave you every reason to. Never, not ever. Driving back to Minneapolis, the lake disappearing in the rearview mirror, I thought about the past year. The fear, the anger, the desperation, the phone calls Kevin ignored, the letters returned unopened, the nights I'd lain awake wondering if I'd lost him forever. But also the moment he'd opened that door and let me back in. The hours spent with lawyers and investigators. The day the annulment was finalized. The first dinner where he'd laughed, really laughed, without looking over his shoulder. On the radio, an old song came on. One that had played at my wedding a lifetime ago. Kevin reached over and turned it up. Dad's song, he said. He'd be proud of you. How you found your way back. He'd be proud of you too. For not letting me go, even when I told you to. The highway stretched ahead, leading us home. Not to the house where Kevin was staying temporarily, but to the place we'd built together through all of this. A relationship stronger for having been tested. My phone buzzed. A text from Linda. Dinner this week? Want to hear how my boy is doing. I smiled. Texted back. He's doing good. Really good. And he was. We both were. The kind of good that only comes after surviving something that tried to break you. The kind of good that's earned, not given. As the city lights came into view, Kevin spoke again. I want to write about this. Not for social media. A real article. Maybe help other people recognize the signs. What do you think? I think your dad always said the best thing you can do with pain is turn it into something that helps someone else. Yeah, he did say that. We drove the rest of the way in comfortable silence, the kind of silence that doesn't need filling, the kind shared by people who've been through battle together and made it out the other side. At home, I made tea while Kevin unpacked. He came into the kitchen holding a photo frame I'd thought was lost. The three of us at the cabin. Kevin was maybe 7, perched on his father's shoulders, my arms around them both. Found this in my stuff. Sienna made me pack it away. Said it was living in the past. Want me to put it back up? Actually, I want it for my new place. When I find one, a reminder. Of what? He set it on the counter, studied it. That the people who love you don't ask you to erase who you were to become who they want. They love all of it. The past, the present, the mess, the mistakes, all of it. I pulled him into a hug. My son. Back from a place I'd feared I'd never reach him. All of it, I agreed. Always. That night, after Kevin went to bed, I sat in my kitchen with my tea, looking at that photo. My husband, gone 15 years, but still present in every good thing Kevin had become. My son, lost and found again. Our family, smaller than most, but stronger than I'd ever imagined. The phone buzzed. A text from Kevin. Love you, Mom. Thanks for being stubborn. I laughed, typed back. Love you too. Thanks for coming home. Outside, spring rain began to fall, washing winter away. Tomorrow I'd start looking at apartments with Kevin. Next week, we'd meet with a publisher interested in his article. Next month, maybe, we'd go back to the cabin. Start building new memories, to layer over the painful ones. But tonight, this moment was enough. Knowing he was safe, asleep down the hall. Knowing we'd survived the thing that had tried to tear us apart. Knowing that sometimes, loving someone means holding on even when they're pushing you away. Even when they hate you for it. Even when it seems hopeless. Because on the other side of that darkness, there's a morning like this one. Where your child comes back to you, not as the person they were, but as someone stronger, someone who knows what they're worth now, someone who won't settle for less than real love again. I finished my tea, washed the cup, turned off the lights. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, but tonight, we were both home, both safe, both healing. And that was everything.